finish, I hope to do so. There's so many angles, OG, and it's very disheartening when you hear the stories of people, real people who were interviewed, not masked, people who were willing to come out. I'll address a few things. The first is around whether the BBC had legitimacy or the right to investigate because, it's an African issue. I think it's an indictment on our own investigative journalism, if we say that, because we ought to agree, yes, we tell our own stories, but I don't think it takes away the import of what they have revealed. And if they decide to take, when they did sex for marks, we didn't say it wasn't their business. When it changed legislature in the universities, we didn't say it was their business. So I know that when it comes to religion, it's very sensitive. However, we must come to a place where we are honest with ourselves. And I will always proudly say that I'm a member of the constituency of the church because I'm a Christian. So this is very sad for me to watch it play out. Let me say so. I'm not judging because this is an investigative piece. However, the first thing I would say is this. Prophet T.B Joshua is not the first Christian to have for allegations to come out after his death. There was a famous preacher called Ravi Zacharias who died in 2020, and following his death, there were allegations of sexual misconduct by some women. What the church did was that they investigated. So they didn't just throw it away and say, we're not going to respond to this.
Is the issue.
They investigated and they found that it was actually true. And so what they did was that they apologized to these women, and then they took out his name out of certain things, and there was some form of, repentance.
Yes.
The Christian faith is about repentance. When you find out something is wrong, no one is above mistake. There's no superhuman being on this earth. And so the take from what I've heard, I'm not very impressed by that they're just discounting people's experiences without any form of investigation. And the fact that this is not the first time it's coming up.
Absolutely
Similar
not.
to, you should read the Ravi Zacharias story. Exactly the same thing. There were allegations, but the church had quietened it down and not investigated. But they were pressured to do so after his death, when even more allegations came out and lawyers were defending these women. So I believe that rather than the church coming out and saying, oh, we're going to, it's just an attack on his integrity, I think it's quite irresponsible to do that. I believe that the next line of action, in the spirit of protecting, I said it earlier when I was speaking, no human life is more important than another human life. If there are allegations of misconduct, investigate. And even for the sake of the future and for legacy's sake, come out and say that we've investigated thoroughly and we found him not guilty, innocent, and these people are lying. Then we can be rest assured. So I don't think it's okay to just bury it and say, oh, let's leave it. That's one. Then the final point I'll make is this. When you read about this, sexual misconduct in the church is not new. It's happened over the years, whether in the Catholic Church, whether in Pentecostalism, in many churches. Unfortunately, what is done is that it's buried. There are a lot of cult systems that are operating as churches. Let me put it that way. There are cults that operate as churches. And we need to uncover this, not just because of its impugning on the integrity of the church, but also the innocent lives that are being destroyed on a daily basis by this. Jesus came to this world to die for everybody, not more for the pastor than the congregation. So we should protect the lives of young people, men, women, boys, girls, if we really love God, as we say. So I don't stand for burying, things like this. I think it should be investigated. They should be apologized to, and if possible, the church should build a system where we can prevent such cults from operating. If it does exist. I mean, it does exist. I'm not saying this one until investigation is completed.
I totally agree with you, Ayo, and I think that you hit the right notes here. I mean, they are claiming that, previous claims that have been, circulating have been unfounded. But we will say that T.B Joshua has passed. And, maybe they want to continue with his legacy of, not addressing issues, whether or not they have addressed issues in the past. Like Ayo has said, I think that it is important that they reach out to these women, even Ajoke, all of these people that have come out now to, expose their pain to the world so that, there's some sort of closure. Rufai, really quickly.
First, this is a very sad one, and my heart goes out to all of those that told their story. I would also say we have to have an independent investigation.
Right.
And this might not even be led by the church. If the church wants to have accountability, it should lead it. But this might not be led by the church. Government should be involved in this. Because there were many crimes that were committed that also had to do with the government of the day. If my memory serves me right, when that building collapsed in 2014, President Goodluck Jonathan was there.
He visited, correct.
He visited. What was the end result of the investigation of that building collapse?
Well, they said that the building lacked integrity. Or,
it lacked integrity. What were the penalties put in place? That's why I say there needs to be holistic. But in all fairness, kudos to the BBC. And for the person that sent a tweet, yes, the BBC has a right to do investigation. And let's not be cheeky. They have done investigation and reports on the likes of Epstein, even the royal family. If not for a panoramic documentary, we will not see all the fractures in the royal documentary. So, because you have your own personal vendetta against the BBC, do not slam them. I have, when they go wrong, I say it.
Yes,
but,
you do.
And please, do not indict the Nigerian media. I take strong exceptions to that. Do you know the first time I heard of the name T.B Joshua? Was in 1996. Through a very investigative journalist called Kolawole Olawuyi. And Obama Lukon, who film fancy.
Wow, your Yoruba is
anybody
so sweet.
The baller, the
Rufai,
Kola Olawuyi used to have a program on Radio Nigeria on AM in Ibadan, Saturday morning. He did it on OGBC2 FM stereo Friday, Saturday morning in Ibadan. And as of 1996, he did an in-depth investigative report, making most of these allegations out about T.B Joshua. Kola Olawuyi was Nigerian, God bless his soul. He had done reports, and there have been many reports out like this. What you will just say is, yes, because of the BBC stature, because they have more influence capital than the likes of Kolawole Olawuyi, they were independent journalists, they got it out there. What is most important is, it's an indictment of us in society that for all these years, we did not have an independent investigation to be able to verify the veracity of all of this story being told. And that's what the church should subject themselves to now, to be able to get all the parts. I mean, we've had people that, like Ayo stated the case of a pastor, that after their death, they were found guilty, and the church made amendment. So, and that's why I go back to this word. Touch not my anointed does not mean the anointed must be stupid. Touch not my anointed means the anointed too must be accountable to God and be responsible.
Right.
Because we are so quick to say in Christendom, touch not my anointed, don't speak evil of a man of God. Cases must be investigated, but men of God too must be careful. The people kept under their flock is for them to love and upgrade their lives. We must not hear things like this of man pick. And for pastors that are doing this, because it's not today, we've had pastors with various spectral scandals here and there. Please stop it. You cannot say you serve God and you have a vice and you cannot deal with it. May God help all of us, because we are working towards perfection. Nobody is perfect.
All right.
But this can be independently investigated.
Very well said, Boom.